So first things first, I'm just going to talk about what an ineligible application is. Research officers are directed by guidelines provided by health on requirements for an eligible application. After reviewing an application for eligibility and it doesn't meet the requirements, what happens is the research office will send the applicant, so the CPI or PI, the coordinating principal investigator or principal investigator, depending on the study, and their admin contacts, an email via REGIS. This should explain why their application has been made ineligible. What you'll notice is the status of the application will change from submitted to ineligible. So I'm just going to pull up this email I have ready for you guys, just to show you what our email template looks like. So it's really nice and straightforward. What we can see in the subject is the type of application. In this instance, I have an ethics application that has been made ineligible. The same email template is used for site applications, so the wording will just change in regards to ethics and site. What it tells you is the study ID and the study title. It will go to, in this instance, because it's ethics, the CPI, and if I had an admin contact, they would be included in the email. It's been made ineligible. And the reasons for, I've got an example here. The research officer said it's incomplete. I need to review A, B, and C and provide more information. Obviously, when research officers are reviewing and making applications ineligible, they should be a lot more clearer than me. You definitely want to be able to kind of answer exactly what they want answered, nice and easy. What else you can see below is how to resubmit your applications. So we can see a QRG, so a quick reference guide link, as well as a short video. So what happens here is this will explain how you can attend to it, so how you can resubmit it. And what you can see is also what happens once it's reassessed, so resubmitted. So there's a few ways we can access our application at this point. I've recently accessed it, so I've worked on it really recently, and I can see it's actually in my top 5 projects. I could click on the PID, the project identifier, and it will take me directly to the project details. If you don't see it here, maybe you have a few studies you're working on, you can select view all or projects at the top of the screen, and I'll just click on that and show you. It's just going to show you a full list of studies you currently have in the system. I have a lot of studies, so you might not have as many as me, and that's absolutely fine. Again, I do a lot of testing in the system. So what I could do at this point is, this is my full list. I can just scroll through, find my study, go ahead and click on it. Okay, but I've got quite a few there. I could use my project identifier, or I could use my study title, and it takes me directly into my study here. So what I want to do, I kind of want to make this a bit easier for you guys to see. So I'm just going to collapse this section to the right of the screen here. This is just my little hierarchy table. All it's showing me is my project registration, so my parent document, and all of my little children documents that have then gone ahead and generated. So I'm just going to move that so it's collapsing, because I want you to see this nice and easy. And if I hover over, I can just kind of expand that for you guys as well. So you can play with your columns here, guys. You can see you get your little double arrow there. You can kind of expand it. Use your column chooser if you wish to filter what you see here. This is your basic. This is what you'll have when you first get into the system. This is the basic format. So what we can see here, I've got an ineligible application. So that's the status. Really handy, guys. The status is such a good, useful visual for you. It tells you exactly what's going on with that study. So we've got ineligible. What I can see is if I hover over my identifier, so again, I'm showing you ineligible for an ethics application, but the same process is applied to our site applications. So you can see I've got the application here, and it says view application. So if I clicked on that, it would take me into a viewable version of the application. I don't want that. What I need to do at this point is create a new version of the application. So anyone that has edit access or edit and submit access, as well as the CPI in this instance or the PI, would be able to create a new version. And how we do that is by expanding this row. So we don't touch that, we just expand the row here by clicking anywhere in this row here. And we've got new version. So nice and easy, we click on that. We continue from the current form. So what it's saying is, where do you want to continue from? It automatically knows the version it is currently, so I wouldn't change this. I'm just going to say, yep, it's my initial application. I'm going to go new version. And if you've specifically been asked to perhaps change the title, you could do so at this point. If you haven't, don't change the title, guys. You might confuse a few things if it's going to mismatch with your other applications. What you could do is you could provide a comment here. So providing extra data is required. What I'm doing here is this is not a mandatory field, but this is for your reference. So anyone in your study team that has access to your application here, view, edit and submit, they'll be able to see this comment once you hit this new version button. This comment, again, it's only for your reference. You don't have to put anything there, but I do want to show you what happens if you do. So I'm going to hit new version here. What happens once I hit this new version is I'm going to make the application editable. So that means I can then go into the application and address any of the issues that force my application to become ineligible. I can perhaps provide data or update documents if required. You can see here, because I put a comment, it's in this section here. So again, it's only for your reference as the research study team. Your research office doesn't see this. No one else sees this unless they have access to the study. So what we can see here, there's a comment here. You can see there's just a little comment here as well. It's exactly the same information. It's just a little bubble to make it easy. And if I hover over the identifier now, it is editable. You can also see it's editable by this in progress. That means it is editable. Whenever you see in progress, that means the study is with you as the researcher side of things. That means you can go in and edit it. And all we do, really nice and easy, we just click on the identifier. That's going to take us directly into this application. So a couple of things just to quickly note. At the top of the screen, you can see we have an option that says track changes. What this would do is if you click on this, it downloads you a copy of a tracked version of the application form. Preview is your clean copy. Validate is a button I would have as the REGIS team member. You guys don't have this, and you can hit save and go next. But tracked is just allowing you to download a tracked copy if necessary. I was told to specifically update some information in ABC. So for example, I would let's go to data and privacy, if that's something I've specifically been told to go to. I don't have to go through every single question if I've only been told to answer or provide further information for data and privacy in this instance. Okay, so maybe I have to add a bit more here based on the information I provided. So I'm just going to edit some of this data here. Okay, and then we'll just put a couple more. So I can just show you what it looks like when we do have that. If you've been asked to amend any documents, nice and easy, what we can do is do not delete the whole row, guys. That's a lot of work you've put in. You don't have to do that, okay? The only reason I would expect you to delete a whole document row, like remove the document entirely, is perhaps it was the document actually has no relevance to the study. It was incorrectly uploaded. If you have to just amend a document, nice and easy, what you would do is, for example, remove the electronic file name, okay? And what you would do then is upload the amended document. Okay, if you have changed the versioning, so it depends on what you needed to update. In this instance, I'm just going to show you I'm updating the version, but if you are, what you want to do is make sure you update that also in the document descriptor. So for example, I'm just going to say I've updated it the next day. I also want to show any changes I've made to that document, as in a tracked copy. So again, I'm just going to add a row. I'm going to copy the same format because I'm just adding a tracked copy here. So I'm just going to say, look, it's my participant consent form. I like to make my life easy, so copy, paste, and I'm just going to say this is tracked. Again, what I'm showing you is an example. You might not have to amend the versioning if, say, for example, you missed a contact number or something, and if it's very minor. Something you might want to just quickly discuss with your research office. In this instance, I'm just going to put a version 2 in the system, but just a little FYI, this is just my training documents, and I'm going to go ahead and upload my tracked copy. So I didn't remove the entire row, which is really, really painful for you guys. Don't do that. Just amend the electronic file, unless, again, the document is not relevant to your study. It was incorrectly uploaded or such. If you are purely amending a document, just amend it by removing the electronic file and amending the descriptor if as necessary. You can absolutely add further documents if that's what you're being requested to do as well. So it's just the add document button, finding the correct document type, providing a really nice and clear descriptor, because how you describe your document, again, is how it will be named on your approval or authorization notification. Load that document there. If you added one too many rows like I have, I just want to remove this row because I don't need it. Just the red bin to remove that. Really nice and straightforward there. If you need to amend your study protocol, it lives at the top of the screen here. This is a little bit specific to ethics at this point, guys, but I just want to point it out because I am in the ethics application. If I need to update that study protocol, this is from an ethics point of view. What you do is, again, just remove that by clicking on the little X there. Okay, popping in the amended study protocol. If you've made any amendments that you need to show a tracked copy, you would then add the tracked copy here. To make my life easy, because I don't have a tracked copy on hand, we're just going to say I did. So it's really straightforward. If you are amending anything, amend what you've been asked to amend. If you make any changes that you weren't specifically asked to change, you're going to add time onto your review. Just be very mindful of that, because if you make changes you haven't been asked to make, there's going to be longer review to see what changes you've made there. Once everything has been addressed, so it's pretty straightforward in that way, guys. We make a new version, we amend the application as appropriate, amend the documents as appropriate. We then just go ahead and resubmit that. If I don't have submit access, I'm not a delegate, or I'm not the CPI or PI, I would go ahead and hit save, just top of the screen here. Okay, it's been saved. And I'd go ahead and generate that HARIA document. Before I do that, I'm just going to show you the track changes. Okay, yep, I want to download that one. So just before I go ahead and submit that, I'll just show you what it looks like. So we can see some red line changes here, and I'll just zoom in just a little bit so it's nice and easy. Going down, I should scroll a bit quicker. All right, so we've had some changes. And that's the information I added a bit earlier. So it's really nice and clear, red line track copy here. This is also what your research office gets. And I'll just have to get out of my nice view like that. Once we hit this generate HARIA document, we're submitting a tracked copy as well as a clean copy of our application form back to the research office. So they actually get to use this tracked copy and easily see what changes have been made per their request. If anything has been made that they didn't request, like I said, it's going to add time onto your review there as well. Good, it's gone back to the research office, fantastic. This is just letting me know I can download the attachments or the application form as well as the track copy. So you can just click on those, it'll download at the bottom of the screen for you. And this just lets you know it's been resubmitted successfully. What we can see has happened as well is the status has gone to submitted. So as soon as you submit that, it automatically gets taken back to your research office there, and it's out of your hands. It's now with your research office. What happens next is the research office will review eligibility of the submission, and we'll send the outcome again of that eligibility via a system generated email. What we're going to look at next is Head of Department Not Supported, which we can see just down here. This is specific to site applications. You don't get HOD Not Supported for ethics applications. So this is specifically for our site applications, okay? So Head of Department or Divisional Director, that's what HOD Not Supported stands for. What happens is this status will occur if one or more head of departments indicate they are unable to support the application. That then changes this status automatically in the system. If we were to create a new version, so it's the same format to resubmit a HOD Not Supported. If we need to edit anything in the application or add a head of department, we create a new version and we go ahead and provide the information as required. And once we submit it, if we haven't added any additional head of departments, it will go to submitted. If we've added an additional head of department, it goes completed pending HOD. What I want to show you though in this particular instance is how you would resubmit this application without going through your head of department. We've just gone through that, creating a new version and resubmitting it. So I'm pretty confident you guys will be familiar with that. What I want to show you is how you can resubmit it directly to your RGO, so your Research Governance Office, without having to create that new version or editing the application. First thing I want to show you though is just what the email template might look like coming through, and I'll just zoom in a little bit here. So we can see it's got the study identifier, lets you know all head of department or divisional directors have made their decisions, and currently your status of the application is HOD Not Supported. So again, it's just that information letting you know for this application, your status is HOD Not Supported. We've got a couple of different explanations just below understanding statuses, and just below that as well, how to resubmit your application. So if we want to access the application, we've got a link here as well. So we can click on that. So we'll just close that. So what I want to do is, first things first, I want to identify which head of department has or hasn't made a decision. So what I want to do is I'm going to expand this row just by clicking anywhere except the identifier. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to click application information. From here, we're going to have a look at decisions. So what we can see is the status is HOD Not Supported. That's good. We can still see that. Let's go to decisions. Okay, and this is where any decision has been made for the application. So you could use this to see information requests and such as well. In this instance, we can see the outcome is unable to undertake the investigations or services indicated on the following grounds. So we want to see a little bit more about that. So what we want to do is kind of expand that by clicking on that row. Okay, and I can see that a few people have made their decisions here. So we've got Marta and Louise have both said they supported the application, but we can see that Sherman here has said they are unable to undertake. So they're not providing support. That's what unable to undertake means, is pretty much that head of department or divisional director is saying they don't support this application, and this is the reason why. Okay, so this is really good. This says, hey, can you contact me on this contact detail? More detail needed around A, B, and C resource for the study. Nice and easy. What I would do in this instance, I'd contact the head of department, have a chat with them. If nothing is required to be changed in the application, perhaps they honestly just wanted that bit more information and understanding the resource you're requiring from their department, and you've satisfied that via the call. Fantastic. What you want to do is then submit it to the RGO without head of department support. You're not saying there is no head of department support. What you're saying is it doesn't have to go through that cycle again. So if we click on this, enter a reason why, guys. Spoke with HOD, no changes to app required. If you submit this without putting a comment in here, your research office might think you've just bypassed the head of department. So it's really good just to put a little comment in here saying, yep, I spoke with the head of department, no changes to the application required. If your research governance office wants a bit more information about that, they can contact you. But this is really important. We just put a little FYI in here just to make sure we're not submitting it blank. We want the research governance office to know we've spoken with that head of department, no changes were needed. We've satisfied what they want. We hit save. So guys, it is the applicant's responsibility to follow up with head of departments about study waiting their sign off. So if you had a look here and you saw that this was blank, there's no decision yet, it's been sitting with Mata, they haven't provided their decision yet, you need to reach out and contact them. If you're having difficulty getting a head of department, contacting them or catching them, perhaps you could contact your research office. They might have a relationship with that head of department, they may be able to help. But please know it is your responsibility to follow up with your head of departments. It isn't your research officer's responsibility. Okay, so what we've done, we've gone ahead and said, look, we're going to submit that back to the RGO. What I want to do now is I just want to show you by going back to application details, what it's going to look like now. What happens at this point is it goes directly to your research governance office. Once they review it for eligibility, they'll then send you an email via the system advising if it's been made eligible or not. The next thing I'm going to show you is responding to requests for information. So while I have a little talk about that, I'll just put my little email up on here. And in REGIS, there are two types of requests for information. There's one where it's asking you to edit your application, perhaps amend documents, very similar to when an application is made ineligible. And the other actually just creates a form for you to respond to queries, so a written response where you don't need to amend any documents, you don't have to amend the application, perhaps you just need to provide a little bit of written correspondence. So two types of requests for information in the system there. The first one I'm going to show you is decision pending further information, which we can see on the screen here. What this is, it'll create a new version of the application automatically. You don't have to create a new version. Once your research office sends this particular request for information, it'll automatically make your application editable. Again, your PI or CPI, depending on the study. This is a governance study, so this is a site application. So my principal investigator and admin contact would have received this email. Really nice and straightforward. It just lets us know it's been reviewed, but we need more information. Okay, and it's a new version of the application. I can see here that I missed some contact details in my site pick form. I've got to add those. So they've given me the information I need to complete their request. What else we can see here is if we've made any big changes, maybe we can upload a cover letter if that's relevant to the changes we've made. Okay, and if we're changing any documents, let's make sure we update the footer with a new version and date and create a tracked copy. Again, that's so it's really nice and easy for your research governance office or research office to see exactly what's been changed versus the last version, just to make sure you've amended as requested. We do currently have an automatic withdrawal functionality in the system. So if you do not respond to a request for information within 30 days, what happens is your application will get withdrawn from the system. It doesn't just do that without notifying you. You do get 2 reminder emails that are sent. So we can see one sent on the 15th and one on the 25th day. This has still not been actioned. Below that, again, just some resources for you if you're not sure how to resubmit an application. We can see here it's really nice and straightforward. You're just popping into that application and what happens once you resubmit it and how you can track your progress. So again, just some nice information in the email template here. You've got a couple of options of how you would access your application. If you're not on this page, you'd go ahead, go to your home page. If you've just logged into the system, you'd be landing on your home page. If you've recently accessed the study, which I can see is here, I'd go ahead and click on this view project. Okay, just the project identifier here, or I can locate it in my full list of studies. Let's make life a bit easier. I'm just going to click on that identifier and it's going to take me to the project details overall. When I say project details overall, I just mean I can see all my site applications and or ethics application in this section here. So I can see which one it is. If you had a few that were in progress, obviously using that email, you'd be able to use the study identifier to understand which one you need to go ahead and access. In this instance, it's a site application that has had a request for information that's made it editable. So anyone with edit access or delegate submit plus the PI or CPI, depending on what application it was, would be able to just nice and easy click on the identifier to go directly into the application. And again, status is a really useful for you guys. Just from an easy overview, you can just see straight away this one's in progress. Again, in progress means it's with you as the researcher or research team and it's editable. So all I do, I click on that identifier, and it's very similar to what we just did with the ineligible application. We're going in, we're locating exactly what we need to update, and if we need to amend documents, we amend our documents as well, and then we resubmit it. So it's really nice and basic there. So if I needed to put more info here, I can do that there. So more info, say for example, I need to amend a document. Okay. Just quickly, track changes is just like the ethics application we were in previously. It's across the board for our governance, so our site applications as well. So a tracked copy you can download a clean copy, save and go back and forth as necessary in the application. For example, if I need to amend my pick form, I think that's what the information asked. It asked for me to add a contact detail or contact number within this pick form, which I must have missed. Don't delete the whole row, guys. Again, that's just too much effort there. It's really straightforward. All we want to do is remove the electronic file. So again, I would never expect you having to delete the whole row to resubmit a document. You'd be removing the document if it was irrelevant to the study or is incorrectly uploaded. If you're purely amending a document, I remove the electronic file name. We pop our new electronic file in my handy list of documents I've got. Again, in this example, I've updated the version. If you've made an edit and it doesn't need a version update, that's absolutely up to you. In my instance, I'm just updating the version. What I want to do, the version has updated, so I'm just going to make sure that my descriptor matches my document. So there we go. And we'll just say I did that on the 2nd. I want to make sure I put my track copy in too. I don't want it to come back to me because I've missed something. So add document. There we go. I'm going to copy the document descriptor because I'm just going to indicate it's tracked copy by just popping in tracked here. You could put TC if you prefer as well, guys. It doesn't matter, just something to make it nice and clear that this is the tracked document. And I'm just gonna add my tracked document there as well. If you accidentally put the wrong document in here, don't delete it. Don't delete the whole row again, just the X, and you can pop your correct document in. So just again, very unnecessary to having to remove the whole document row, guys. If you're purely amending a document or you've put the incorrect document, you just use the little X next to the electronic file name to upload the correct document. And again, if there's been any change to the footer of that document, make sure it's reflected in your descriptor. And I keep talking about descriptors, but again, I just want to be really nice and clear on your expectation upon approval or authorization. How you describe your document here, how it's noted here, is exactly what the system pulls onto your approval or authorization email notification, okay? So this is really important. If you don't like it saying pick form and you want it to say participant consent form, spell it out so it's nice and clear in the descriptor here. So very straightforward again, guys. The only difference between this information request and your ineligible request is that the system automatically creates the new version for you. That's the only difference you're going to see in how you access and update this application. And nice and easy, if I am not the PI or CPI, depending on the application we're in at the moment, or I don't have delegate submit access, I would just hit save at the top of the screen here. And I'd let my PI or CPI know, or anyone that is delegated submit access, so they can go and resubmit this by hitting that complete SSA button, or if it's ethics, it's generate HARIA button. So it's a little bit different. It doesn't go to the status of submitted, it goes to information provided. That's exactly what we want to see because we've responded to a request for information. So we're not just submitting it back, we're responding to requests for information. And it's really useful that it has this particular status. This allows your research office to actually filter applications coming back where information has been requested and responded to. So what we can see here is we've gone ahead and resubmitted our ineligible application. We've responded to the HOD Not Supported, and we've resubmitted our information requested where the application has become editable. We have one more request for information that we will be responding to, and this request for information does not make your application editable. So very last email template we're going to have a look at. So this one we can see is different wording, guys. This is called recommendation pending further information when it's a governance application, so a site application. If you had an ethics application and this particular request for information was sent, it is approval pending further information. Different wording, same thing. So just wanted to make that nice and clear. This is particularly for a site application, but the same functionality goes across to our ethics application. So again, in this instance, our principal investigator and admin contact have been sent an email saying further information is required. What happens is a more information required form is created. So there's no new version. They need to respond via a form. Okay, you're not required to change anything. What you need to do is respond to a request for information via the form. Okay, and there's a handy little link if they aren't logged in. If they click on that, it'll take them to the application section. Application information section, and they click on the forms header, which I'll show you guys how to do. What we see, the research office wants a bit more information around A, B, and C, just some written information. They don't need us to change anything in the application or any of our submitted documents. So it's purely written correspondence they want back. We have the same scenario. If you don't respond within 30 days, your application will be withdrawn, not before you get 2 reminder emails though. So we don't just withdraw it from the system, you do get 2 reminder emails. Again, below that, just information on how to respond to this particular information request, what happens upon submission of that, and how to track your application, so a bit of information there. So what I'll do, just from the other side of the screen, I'm just going to click on the link for you, and we'll just let it come up. So I'm just clicking on the link in my email there. So again, it's taken us directly to the application details section, and my email, I'll just quickly pop it back over. It said click the forms section. So what I want to do, I want to go to the forms header, then click on that. Okay, I've got a more information required form. So this is what I just need to complete. I can see it's in progress, so I can edit it. The owner is just the PI. So the PI is the owner of the site application. This was created on the 15th, so its request for information was sent to me on the 15th. Nice and easy. Anyone with edit access edit and submit, so your delegate or the principal investigator or coordinating principal investigator, depending if it's an ethics or a site application, will be able to edit this. Again, the CPI or PI and delegate will be able to submit. Someone with edit access would have to save their progress. This is what it is, guys. Really big free text box. Really nice and straightforward. You're responding to a request for information that just wants a bit of information provided back via written correspondence. So that's the research office query, just to kind of make it nice and easy there. Really straightforward. It's a very large free text box, so it's very straightforward. And like I said, you may see this once in a blue moon, so I want to make sure that you understand how to access it and how to respond. If I'm not the PI or CPI, as indicated by the application, or a delegate, I would hit save. If I am the delegate or PI or CPI, go ahead and hit submit. So again, remembering the CPI would have a more information request against their ethics application, the PI against the site application, just in case I'm confusing you by saying them both together. Nice and easy, we can see it submitted. Fantastic. So it's back now with the research office. We've responded to this type of request for information. At this point, you don't have to do anything further. It's out of your hands. It's now with the research office. I'm just going to pop to application details and I'll just show you information provided. So the status updates, even though we just had a form to complete, the status will update because the form is linked to your application. So once you submit that more information required form, it'll automatically update the status of this application as well. So really nice and easy there. You don't have to do anything further. The application is linked. It's all back with the research office. They can see that this has come back as information provided. So there's been a request that's been sent out and is now back